I took Andre to Studio 54
Really? Whoa.
at the height of Studio 54. So we go to the side door, go to the front on the Studio 54, and people waiting trying to get in. And there's Andre standing. The guy says, "You, come here, come here." So I'm with Andre because Andre needed a chaperone. So I'm following Andre, and he says, you ain't getting in here." Andre says, "Boss, he's with me." So we went into Studio 54, and that was everything that you've heard, plus more. It was a crazy, crazy scene.
Wow.
And
What year was this? Was this 70s or 78?
77, 78,
Was Debbie Harry there
like
at
that.
that point? She was hanging out. Did you see? I know she's a huge wrestling
I
fan.
didn't see it at night. Well, you mentioned everything goes into something else. Deborah Harry, in my most recent book, there's a picture of her and Lou Albano.
Mhm.
Deborah Harry used to love wrestling. Her and Chris, they were huge wrestling fans. They would always sit behind me. A half dozen times I took them to the back and I introduced them to everybody. And I got pictures of them with Greg Valentine, Jimmy Valiant, Andre the Giant, Bruno Sammartino, because they were real wrestling fans. She was before the Rock and Wrestling Connection. Deborah Harry was it. She was so big. Her and Chris Stein, big wrestling fans. Another guy who was a wrestling fan, Luther Vandross, at the
Oh,
Garden. I took Luther and I introduced him around. I at that time I had as much reign as I did with ROH. I was able to do what I wanted. No,
one
there
more
was
name.
somebody around.
One more name. What about Andy
There was,
Warhol?
okay, and that's when I took a diversion when he said Deborah Harry. Andy Warhol was at Studio 54, and he wanted his picture with Andre. He gives me his camera, so I took his picture with Andre at Studio 54.
You're blowing my mind here. So you're telling me you went to Studio 54 with Andre the Giant and you met Andy
Yeah,
Warhol?
yes.
what what planet is
But
this?
but at that point, listen. At that point, I didn't have my camera. Everybody didn't have a phone. You didn't
Sure.
have camera at your disposal. People were Instagramming it and sending it
Right,
everywhere.
right.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Nobody can. So I didn't even go in there. My cameras were in my trunk of my car after the show. I didn't have my camera with me. Like I didn't want to put the camera in their face after the show or before the show. I did the show and I did what they did. Not I didn't want to divulge what they did outside. That was their life. You
Can you
know,
walk us through how Andre approaches you? How does he say, "Hey, boss, I want to go to Studio 54"? Is it that simple? Does he say,
it just came up. We
"Wow,
were sitting there. We're sitting there like I'm sitting next to him. Somebody says Studio 54. Boss, where's that? I said, it's around the corner. I mean,
so
he
I'm
says,
assuming
let's go. We have a problem. Andre, you ain't going to have a problem. Let's go.